You don't know Jack.
Sit down, you sit down, you sit down, you sit down.
Madvillainy, an album that was released on March 23rd, 2004 to critical acclaim, despite only performing moderately well commercially. Critics across the board gave rave reviews. Pitchfork called it inexhaustibly brilliant. Alternative press labelled it as all invention and no indulgence. Mojo noted that the album was a symphony of such densely constructed chaos, and mentioned that the album's opacity is part of its brilliance. It was given place 365 on Rolling Stone's list of 500 greatest albums of all time, and placed at 411 on NME's list. But who makes up the duo behind the album? That would be Madlib and MF Doom. Let's talk about them. Madlib is a producer from California who began a collective of rappers in the early 90s known as CDP, which stands for Crate Diggers Palace, and was signed by an artist named Peanut Butter Wolf to a record label called Stone's Throw in 1998. Once signed to the label, he began a side project titled Quasimoto, where he formed a duo with his animated high-pitched counterpart Lord Quas. Quasimoto is important for our story. Now let's talk about MF Doom, whose real name is Daniel Dumoulin. Dumoulin formed a group called KMD, standing for Causing Much Damage, with his brother DJ Subrock and two other members in 1988. They released one album, named Mr. Hood, in 1991. They were planning to release another one called Black Bastards in 1993, but two events would prevent that. Firstly, Subrock was killed by a car while trying to cross the Long Island Expressway, and secondly, the group's record label, Elektra Records, chose to drop them over the obscene cover art. At this moment, Dumoulin, then known as Zev Love X, went into a sort of hibernation period for 6 years, but came back in 1999 with the album Operation Doomsday, under the moniker of MF Doom. And this, more or less, is where our story starts. This is how two underground artists came together to create one of the best rap albums of all time. The year is 1999. MF Doom has recently released his first solo album, Operation Doomsday, and Madlib is being interviewed by the Los Angeles Times. He is asked who his dream collaborators would be, and he responds with Jay Dilla and none other than MF Doom. Now, Jay Dilla had already been working with Madlib to create what would become the Champion sound by J-Lib. However, Doom was nowhere on the map. After his record label Fondlem closed their doors in 2001, Doom disappeared, living in wildly different areas of America at different times. At this time, Madlib's label, Stone's Throw, had sent some of Madlib's instrumentals to a friend in Kennesaw named Ethan Egon Alapat, so Doom could listen to them to see what he thought. Egon called back 3 weeks later, telling him that Doom loved the instrumentals and wanted to work with him. After this interaction, some of Doom's managers decided to make an offer of $1,500 and plane tickets to Los Angeles for this collaboration, and Stone's Throw agreed immediately, despite not having enough money to fulfill the contract after paying for the tickets. So Doom touched down in LA, ready to work with Madlib, but when the managers came for the money, it was up to Egon to keep them distracted while Madlib and Doom were working, in the hopes that they'd gel enough to want to continue. This plan worked, and Stone's Throw were able to gather the right amount of money for the deal. Doom, Madlib, and Stone's Throw signed a contract together for the album, which was written on a paper plate. I'm not even joking, it was literally a paper plate contract. So, with the business out of the way, Madlib and MF Doom could begin working on what would be their masterpiece. So Madlib and MF Doom began their work on the project in 2002, and it was quite clear that Madlib was enthused to work on the project, as he created 100 beats in just a few weeks. Not all of these were used on Madvillain, however. Some were used on J-Lib's Champion sound, and others were used on the albums of other Stone's Throw members. The pair spent most of their time together in a bunker in LA working on the album, despite the fact that Stone's Throw had paid for a hotel room for Doom to stay in. In their free time, the duo were drinking alcohol, eating Thai food, smoking, and doing shrooms. Madlib and Doom actually recorded some songs while they were under the effect of mushrooms, including Figaro and Meat Grinder. The first slivers of information to the public about the collaboration was in November of 2002, when Madlib played an unfinished version of the song America's Most Blunted at an Academy lecture hosted/sponsored by Red Bull. At this time, Madlib decided to look for obscure vinyl records that were sampleable for the album. He was joined by fellow producers Cut Chemist, DJ Babu and J-Rock. He eventually found some and used them to produce beats for Madvillainy. However, disaster struck. While Madlib was working on the album in Brazil, an unfinished track was stolen and leaked on the internet a year and 2 months before its official release. In response to this, the duo essentially said, "F this, f Madvillainy, f the leakers, f everyone," and went their own ways. Well, that's how TeleKiwi described it. According to an interview between Pitchfork and Stone's Throw director Jeff Jank, quote, "Those were the early days of internet leaks, and we thought it would completely ruin sales. People were approaching Doom and Madlib at shows to tell them how much they liked the album, so they were like, f it, I'm done." Madlib started on other stuff, and Doom, well, you never know what he's doing. During their split, Madlib produced one album, Champion Sound as J-Lib, and MF Doom produced two, Take Me to Your Leader as King Ghidorah, and Vaudeville Villain as Victor Vaughn. However, after some time and consideration, the pair decided to continue working on Madvillainy. Between the continuation of the recordings and the release of the album, a few changes were made to differentiate the album more from the leaked versions. As an example, Doom decided to change his voice to be less hyper and more relaxed, which also resulted in a slight change of the lyrics to the album. There were also some changes to the instrumental requested by Stone's Throw, but Madlib said he couldn't remember what songs he sampled from, so they remained. Eventually, however, after some more changes and quite a bit of production from Brazil, the album was finished. It was time to release it. Before the true release of the album, however, there were two single releases, Moneyfolder/America's Most Blunted, which features Quasimoto, and Curls/All Caps, which is arguably Madvillain's most popular song. There were also 4 videos released, Accordion, Shadows of Tomorrow, also featuring Quasimoto, All Caps, and Rhinestone Cowboy. Then the album released properly on March 23rd, 2004. Let's delve into the tracks. The album begins with The Illest Villains, a 2-minute instrumental with vocals coming from news reports. This is essentially an introduction to Madvillain and the album. Then we have Accordion, a somewhat haunting song that features a very prominent sample from Experience by Daedalus. The next few tracks are Meat Grinder, which is comprised of an upbeat intro transitioning to a beat-heavy verse, Bistro, a mystical spoken interlude, Rave, a very upbeat song with a guest verse from Stone's Throw artist MED, and America's Most Blunted, a sample-heavy 4-minute song featuring Quasimoto. The end of this song transitions into Sick Fits, the first true instrumental on the album, and a gritty-sounding song at that. Well, hello there everyone, it's that one weird person here cutting in the video to tell you something important, with very bad audio. Due to personal issues, TeleKiwi won't be editing anything for the rest of this video, it'll be all me. That's all I wanted to say. Back to the video! Whee! Rainbows and Curls, the next 2 songs, both sound like quite retro tracks, but the former is more ominous, whereas the latter is more upbeat, at least at the beginning. This goes into the next instrumental entitled Do Not Fire. At just under a minute long, it's one of the shortest songs on the album. The next song, Money Folder, is one of the longest songs on the album, at just over 3 minutes of runtime. It features an ominous beat, similar to many of the other songs on the album, but has a funky interlude approximately 34 seconds into the song. After that, there are a plentiful amount of collaboration songs. Shadows of Tomorrow features Quasimoto once again, and features some Japanese at the beginning, and Operation Lifesaver aka Min Test, a mystical song similar to Bistro, and Figaro, a song similar in instruction to Meat Grinder, are alone. The Hardcore Hustle features Wild Child, and is a fairly orthodox track, at least in comparison to the other songs on the album. Strange Ways is next, a heavy-hitting song partially about war, followed by 2 collabs in a row. Fancy Clown, a song about a woman cheating for, ironically, Doom himself, featuring Doom's alter ego Victor Vaughn, and I, a more melodic song featuring Stacey Epps. The instrumental piece Supervillain theme follows, a rather badass yet short track under a minute long. All Caps is after that. This track was originally called Horny on the unofficially released album Our Madvillain. Anyways, it's a menacing song, and one of Madvillain's most popular at the time of releasing this video. Following all caps is Great Day, a somewhat solemn track to begin wrapping up the album, and the final track on the entire album is Rhinestone Cowboy, essentially a 4-minute long victory lap / bow. And that's all 22 tracks discussed. What a ride. Hopefully you can see why this album was as highly praised as it was. But to keep tradition, and by tradition I mean we did this in the last collab, let's delve into our opinions.
Fight.
Here is my opinion. Madvillainy is a masterpiece. Each of the 22 tracks on this album has been crafted with pristine care and mastery. The sounds are zany yet brooding, Doom's rhymes are genius, and it's clear everything about the album has been meticulously crafted from head to toe. Tracks like Figaro, Accordion, and Meat Grinder are oddly upbeat in contrast with their ominous beats, whereas songs like Strange Ways and Curls just make me want to get up and dance. Also, Hardcore Hustle is way too underrated, don't at me. All I'm gonna say is thank God the pair weren't too deterred by the leaks. Well, now that that's done, it's time to conclude. So that's Madvillain more or less, a masterpiece of an album that was created in spite of leaks, drugs, and pay-per-play contracts. This album is often cited as Doom's magnum opus and a landmark record in hip-hop's long-winded history. In addition, Madvillainy not only became renowned as a top-tier hip-hop album, but also marked itself as a grandfather of experimental hip-hop, which is a genre that has remained notable even into the current year, with some recent examples being Earl Sweatshirt's Some Rap Songs in 2018, and Tyler the Creator's Igor in 2019. Daniel Dumoulin may be gone, but MF Doom and his legacy will live on. Well, hello there everybody, it's that one-word person here to give you a couple of ramblings / updates. By the way, if you don't want to listen to these, you don't have to. This is kind of the end of the video anyway, so you can just hop off, go to watch another video. Firstly, sorry if this video felt rushed in any way. I kind of got scared because I hadn't uploaded in like 5 weeks, so I felt like I kind of rushed this video, but maybe I'm being like too hard on myself. Let me know what you think. Secondly, I got a new mic. I don't know if you can tell any difference, because all the people I've said I got a new mic to said it sounded no different whatsoever, but yeah. And main final update is I've got another couple of videos in the timeline, pipeline, whatever you want to call it, but they might not be up for a couple of months, so sit tight, things are coming. Sorry if I don't like upload at all. Hopefully this is enough to tide you over for a bit. I keep saying I need to stop. But that's my update / rambling. Have a good day and subscribe, please. Also, thanks for 200 subscribers. I forgot to mention that.